Hello and good evening. So for today's video, I wanted to sort of just go through the notebook a little bit, just talk through a handful of decks that I have brewing in some state of progress on UVSUltra. Not really complete proper deck profiles or anything like that, because none of these are finished products. They are at most a version 2, right? So I don't really want to put these forward as, polished final builds that you should copy card for card. I'm not even going to post the links to them because you just shouldn't be doing that with these. But it's more to just sort of elevator pitch some things, just maybe put some ideas in people's heads of things they could try, things they could maybe think about as stuff that might be out there, that sort of thing. Because, for any given event, I have like 4 or 5 of these are decks that I could play at Gen Con, right? But I'm only going to be able to play one, and I might not even top with it, right? And so there's lots of deck ideas or things that could even be good that just never really see the light of day like this. Not just with me, but with a number of deck builders out there, right? So I just want to try a video where we just kind of go through these, quick few minute elevator pitch, just explain what they're about, what the ideas are, and if people like it, maybe I go try to find some other brewers out there that have a similar thing going on, have a bunch of cool ideas they'd like to share, So yeah, without further ado, the first deck I want to talk about is this Uraraka 1 deck. This is the deck, or slight update to the deck that I played at the online RLE. I went 3-2 and realized my tiebreakers were awful and kind of just dropped out of the event because I wasn't going to make top cuts from where I was even if I won out. A little bit of regret, probably should have stuck in there and really refined what I thought about this deck, got a few more reps with it, that sort of thing. But in any case, it is what it is. So the idea of this deck, this is an Air Ochako 1. This could almost be a KS Ochako 1. The main reason it is an Air is for Web of Blades, giving us some nice assistance against the Momos and Eraserheads of the world that you don't really... Chaos doesn't have that card anymore because One with Nature got banned. And an Air, you can... Web of Blades sort of fills that One with Nature role in its own weird way in the specific circumstance that you really need it, right? A lot of Chaos decks didn't need One with Nature to beat, your average 6 sand size aggro decks, but they needed it to get up and over the Momos, up and over the Eraserheads of the world, the Nejires now. So Web of Blades is playing that role here, 2 main, 1 board. That's kind of why this is an Air deck. You could just say, not worth it to me, I'm going to play a Chaos anyway, I'm going to get Irrefutable Force of Nature, but we're Air for this one, and sort of the underlying premise of this is that, I've talked about this a little bit, the Air symbol with this new set has a bunch of ways to put +1 damage on all of its moves that it didn't have before. So things like a Meteor Shower String are actually much more lethal in Ochako than they once were. And so you're not all in on Indiscriminate Shock deck the way that a lot of Ochako ones used to be on these 2 symbols. So that's kind of the core idea. And of course we have Chimera Kraken letting us either double freeze or just, do 1 freeze and put it in our momentum and get a couple speed on our Indiscriminate. I mean, landing Indiscriminate Shock is still a really good way to win the game, right? And we're even a little bit better at that now. We have some Nejire Wave gives us another use for momentum. I've been playing Invisible Infiltration, which has been kind of cool as like a pseudo 3-diff. It's low zone. You're an Indiscriminate Shock deck. They're probably not going to block it. Pretty good poke. Helps me have this Hagakure sideboard. Hagakure, in theory, for the same reasons, +1 damage and all these things, can kill people a little bit better than she used to be able to. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. The rest of it's sort of just, good Air stuff, trying out some weird one-off attacks here. I should call out Cool and Tough. This card has a funny interaction with Capture Evildoers, where if they use Capture Evildoers to hit your momentum, first of all, Cool and Tough puts the momentum back in your hand, which is what you want as Ochako, right? That the point of your momentum is to put it back in your hand. But also, because your momentum never actually got removed from the game, they do not get the momentum off of Capture Evildoers. So this is really a neat counter to that card that is sort of uniquely good against what is a very popular card right now compared to other, momentum protection answers. And because it aligns with what Ochako's doing, you can run this instead of the Amajiki one, which is a little more generally good with a straight face, just because most of your momentum is coming back to your hand anyway as Ochako. Next up, I don't know what sequence these are in. All right, so we have this Sato deck. This is a quick update that I haven't played much. I played like 1 match of it actually this morning, a little bit. So very rough around the edges. So I was playing this deck, obviously without the repeateds. I was playing a deck like this for the last few weeks of the League of Villains format at my locals and PSCs, and was feeling pretty good about it. And I just reassembled it here. Set 5 gave it repeated 100% smash, obviously a very good card. Yeah, so this is just another Order Good Stuff deck, really, just with a different face on it. The thing that Sato is uniquely good at doing here, so, obviously, 4th Kind has the big once per game. Shigaraki's going to draw a million cards. What Sato gets to do, he gets to play all these actions, and I'm not sure what the right mix of actions main and board is yet. I just have a pile of blue cards here. But he gets to play a whole lot of actions. He could play 7 or 8 even main if he wanted to with a straight face. Because you're Sato, you can just filter them away when they're clogging up your hand, right? And the other thing he gets to do, he gets this Final Smash line where you play a Final Smash, you put a Final Smash on top, you draw it with Sato. You play that Final Smash, you put another Final Smash on top, you draw it with Sato, so you get this, meteor shower multiple string of Final Smashes as a second thing for your opponent to worry about. So it's not just the 1.3 million volts. It's, yeah, I can kill you with this, but also I can Final Smash you out if you go to 8 foundations. And, Recipro is adding to the list of high threats. We have Setup Strike Violence. It's kind of a Setup Strike deck. Setup Strike into all of these cards is pretty good for the most part. But yeah, not too much else to talk about. Kind of just a bunch of good order cards. Making a stand is uniquely good in Sato because you make your attack stun. Most order lineups aren't actually mono stun to get +1 and everything. Sato gets a little bit more of that. And of course, Momentum Hate very good right now. Yeah, work in progress. I'm going to keep playing around with this one. But this one causes a lot of order Satos are just do the kicks thing. But we're getting more and more punches that make sense for him. Oh, we have, with 3 in here now? And yeah, I think the Final Smash line is very, very valuable. Okay, this is Void Deku 4. I have not built this yet. I have just talked about it a lot. So, what excites me about this is that when I've played against the good Deku 4s locally, really what I've noticed more than anything is that he can be a really good defensive character if that's what you're trying to do. And a Void has more tools for that than the good symbol does for him. In particular, he's very good at running Barrier Shield. You're gonna have the cards to spend a card 0 speeding their move. So that's exciting. Yeah, of course, we've got the Body Rejuvenation here. And he can run off of Void. You have access to Blood Curdle. So, for the defensive characters that Deku on the good symbol can really have a hard time killing sometimes, you can use Blood Curdle, turn them off, and then go to work. I still, again, I haven't played this at all. I don't really know how the offense is played out, even with, Blood Curdle and these practical studies, which might go to 4. I'm not sure if there's going to be enough speed here to even land moves, even if they're just a bunch of blank foundations, right? But, we're trying the Hardened Shot. We've got Rejuvenating, Repeat, etc., etc. A pile of 4 ifs. There could be a Tetsu angle here. It is another option to try. But yeah, and Void has, well, it still has Manly Passion Guy, has Tape for your Rejuve blocks. He's excited, another little bit of speed boost, and just some cool 2 diffs that you get to play. And yeah, sideboard Eraserhead. If you face a deck that's terrible against Eraserhead, you have that sideboard and be the Void Punch Eraserhead option as well. Some of the Eraserheads at least were sideboarding Deku, and this is just kind of a reverse idea of that. Yes. Alright, Asui, Life Asui. Another one I've talked about a little bit. This is also very not final. I don't know if this is going to be a 50 card deck or a 60 card deck or what in between by the time I'm all said and done with this deck. But I came to this deck because I was looking for ways to use Loving Father. Because Loving Father says, remove this. If the top card of your discard pile is a copy of the current attack, you pick that up. So with Asui, that basically means anytime you find 2 copies of a move, you can use Loving Father to it becomes additional copies of the move. With a move like Tongue Whip, of course, that's very, very good. With Tongue Smack, that's extra card draw. Frog Kick, not quite so exciting. You're hoping you're not using your Loving Father with Frog Kicks, but, sometimes you'll be there. But it's sort of a nice way for Asui to find the moves, right? Because off of the old, the Master Asia Asui that has had a billion things banned out of it would use, Crow and Frog to ready Passing the Torch, and it had Ready, get, set, go. It had amphibious, so it had a lot more check passing power to just keep finding all the things that Jen didn't have to worry too much about that. So, and just looking for ways to, because that's always going to be Asui's thing. If she finds 6 attacks, she's going to play 6 attacks, but you need to find them. So we're still trying to figure out how to do it, but I think Loving Father can really contribute to that. And then, the specifics of the rest, you get to be a life deck with Faith Shield and Cooperation Offer and Bully Mirio decks, right? Converting capture pieces has been pretty good for you. I've played this at like 2 locals. So kind of a work in progress. We're trying out this blood evaluation thing kind of instead of passing the torch, because we have Frog Kick to ready it. We can play Repeated to ready it. We can spend a momentum to ready if we get a momentum from ambush, or we just poke for one. I was playing single Spiral in this list for a while. We're kind of in the stage where we've given up on that. Running that card just doesn't quite fit what the deck is doing, but I'm not quite sure what we're putting in its place yet. But yeah, this is, it's Asui. She's never going to be bad, right? Certainly an idea that has some promise. Next on the list, we have an Earth Kamui Woods. This is me wanting to run Bad Guy Roundup. I'm really high on this card. Momentum hate on a high block, and we're running Instant Shining Flash also anyway right now. Bad Guy Roundup also draws a card, and this is more, we talked about Asui bullying Mirios with Faith Shield and Cooperation Offers. We get to do that here too, and we also have a pile of Momentum hate to boot. Really kind of a heavily anti-Mirio deck here. Twisty Surroundings messing with his ability to pass a million checks. We get Web of Blades is here too. Web of Blades is in every deck I can run it in right now with like 2-man, 1 board pretty much every time. And it is Earth Kamui. You still have the endless hand size with Petty Squabbles. Sorry, the one thing that I have found is your Speed Hate is all one-off use. So I've added in these high-value targets and Naval Laser Beams recently. I haven't tried them yet. I'm just trying to find a way for our defense to have a little more staying power when we need it to be. But we can also try to find a way to just make the offense a little more explosive. It's going to take a bunch of iteration, but it's looked fairly promising. It's felt pretty good so far. Red counter's been great. Might play more of those. Yeah, Earth 7-hander. Right now we're seeing all these Earth overhauls, and he's card starved, right? And he's been doing pretty good. So, well, yeah, obviously that part of that's because Overhaul has good abilities that are doing things. If the Earth overhauls are working, then any given Earth, 7-hands or just an Earth good stuff deck should have a pretty good shot, I would think, if you build it right. So, I'm trying that out with Kamui, and previous to Kamui, I was trying it with Bakugo too. So I was not running. One of the things that's kind of exciting about the idea of running Bakugo 2 is you can run the Kirishima Flash attack. Kirishima 3/3 low 4 Flash that destroys 2 of their face downs. I haven't tried that yet. I took this deck apart to build the Kamui, played it a little bit, and it felt alright. Had some trouble. The sort of classic Bakugo 2 problem is you can make their whole stage face down, but if they have 10 ready blank foundations, they can still block. And I was struggling with that a little bit at the one event I played it in. But I don't mean to necessarily give up on the deck. I think there's something here. His offense is obviously going to be better than Kamui's in the general, but you are forced to run sort of a smaller deck with some more specific attacks. He also gets to run Bad Guy Roundup. It is a Fury with Powerful. It's great for him. This Hardened Fist is a new card that's very exciting for Bakugo 2. Kind of does everything he wants to be doing. Spear and Shield I actually really liked. If I rebuild this, I'm going to have more of those main, I think. More Cooperation Offers. The deck's a little small. We probably should be running Faith Shield over this stuff. I built this very early in the format before we knew exactly how popular Mirio was going to be. But yeah, I would not completely forget about Bakugo 2. He's gotten some tools and good stuff 7-handers on Earth and certainly on Death as well. There's not really any reason they can't succeed. And the last thing I'll touch on here, this one's going to be just real quick. This silly Fire Wrap, I haven't built this at all. I don't want to present this as being too serious, but I'm kind of curious about it. I might try it at some point. I don't want to put Maximum Hardening in Rappa to solve his damage problem. And so we have this Maximum Hardening, tight 50 cards. We want to min-max our odds of drawing multiple bullet punches in one hand. Kind of Rappa concept here. Revel for a little more extra damage, and we're using Forcing Surrender. We can clear maximum hardening even if we need to. And then some just like fire punches, some irrefutables, question mark, maybe this works. I don't know. People have probably tried this and found it wanting or something, but I thought it was pretty funny, and it is sort of in my head more than not at all, so I thought I'd throw it on here. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for a little crawl through the UVSUltra notebook. Let me know what you think. Let me know if any of these ideas were things that you've tried or something you thought was cool that you might try or that you might look into. And yeah, if you want to see more of these, I can try and see if I can find some people who similarly just have a bunch of brews on their Ultra that they're never actually going to get to bring it to an event, right? Yeah, that'll do it for tonight, and I'll see you next time. Take care.